Keep it up as we welcome to the stage Chris, Barrie and Danny John Jules! They're just making you wait. Hey, keep it up, come on! Oh, nice to meet you. Hello, take a seat, grab a mic. Well,
wow.
This is
Anyone seen
biggest
Dale?
turnout. He's there somewhere. Don't miss the beard. Is that one on for you there?
Ba ba ba.
It is, yeah. Testing. So, this is, I think, the biggest crowd we've had today. It says a lot about what Red Dwarf has done for people.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody give it up for Red Dwarf! How have you found it today?
Excellent.
We always have a good time.
What can I say? It's fantastic. It's just absolutely amazing to have such a wonderful, loyal fan base who keep coming back for more. We're absolutely thrilled. We never realised 30 years ago we'd still be here, you know, in the modern age, sort of still doing, still saying Pinkle Squirmy blah blah blah, but doing silly salutes.
Exactly. We didn't actually think we'd be talking to each other about 3 weeks later.
No, we didn't, but here we are. Here we are, Doctor. Here we are. I'm your insurance man. I'm dressed as your insurance man.
And I'm dressed as his client who doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
There's a bit of a British look going on here.
Well, I think it's slightly more fashionable than British, you know. He wouldn't be a moleskin man. Maybe, yeah. But British, you see, is who knows? There may well be, possibly, potentially, a return of that.
And of course it's a good job I can still just about do the voice. So we'll try. Excellent.
Chris has kindly suggested that I play the Mr. Motivator character. Just in much more bright colours. And extra lycra. And a big bum bag.
Perfect casting.
So when you first got on board with Red Dwarf, did you ever imagine it would get to this?
Well, actually, halfway through the first series being broadcast, we got told that we'd been commissioned for the second one. So yes, we did actually halfway through the first broadcast of the series. Yeah, that was a real shock. I didn't think that we would get recommissioned.
I mean, yeah, no, back in 1988. Or when we were shooting it in 1987, no, I mean, I looked out into the audience and thought, well, you know, this is either going to, you know, nosedive, or a small audience will, you know, the audience appreciation figures will pick it up. And of course, these days, I don't think we'd probably get a second chance, would we?
Well, Chris was thinking he'd probably like to die under a vintage Rolls Royce, but not in front of a sitcom audience.
That first audience, I'd love to meet people who were in that first audience in Manchester.
Just thought, what the is going on here?
Exactly. But you know, the BBC sort of, you know, in those days they gave the show a second series. The same with British, you know, the first series of that, you know, I think it was all on tenterhooks whether you get a second series. But then, you know, those days they did give us a bit of a chance, you know, to sort of, you know, develop in a second series, and in both cases, you know, they worked out.
Very lucky.
So when it was picked up for a revival, were you quite expectant of that? Did you think it was going to happen, or were you quite surprised when Red Dwarf's coming back?
It was a strange situation to be in, you know, for 10 years, you know, having to watch your show being repeated. So it wasn't like we ever went away, we just didn't have a job at that point, you know. But we were there on telly every week, so it was a very strange scenario. But for me, the fans would have been the ones that got the show recommissioned because they refused to let it die.
Well, exactly. We used to see in those things, books and things, when they talked about sitcoms and TV shows and everything, they had Red Dwarf 1988-Gap. So we all knew that at some point Doug wanted to do some more. We just didn't know, you know, when it was going to be. And as the years rolled by, there was talk of the movie and that sort of
there was
stuff.
a lot of delay because of, you know, everyone says, you know, we're going to make a movie. anyone that's been in this business, you hear that every day. Yeah, man, we're going to do a movie.
Keep your fingers crossed.
That's what they're doing. They've got theirs crossed behind their back. A movie. Yeah, but the people said they don't like the show without the audience. So, why make a movie? Yeah, but when we did Back to Earth, there was no audience, and people said we want the audience. So, yeah, but one person can't pay the bills.
I mean,
The producers want their money back.
I think, yeah, well, you never say there's never going to be a movie, so we'll keep that idea going. But certainly at the moment, we're enjoying it, and it seems
We're enjoying doing the series.
the fans are enjoying doing what we kind of do.
We're enjoying doing the series.
Which is, clumps of 6 episodes with an audience and a short story.
That's where the show is at home.
You've mentioned the fans quite a few times, so what I want to do is open the floor. Anybody has any questions for the guys?
I thought you were going to say open the floor and throw them in.
No! Anybody does, put your hand in the air, we're going to run over.
Yeah, I have a question. Why is Rimmer such a smeghead?
Do you know, that's a question I've been asking myself for 30 years. And the only answer I can give you is that if he wasn't such a smeghead, that would probably take away 40% of the comedy. Yeah, he is pretty much the sort of straight man stroke vein, butt of a lot of jokes. So we like to call him petrol for the comedy. So long may his smeg-headedness continue.
Just over to your right. Just over here. Hello.
Oh.
Hello, Danny. How does it feel to finally be the star of the show?
What show's that?
So what I mean is the cat's always very much been supporting the story, but it feels like in the last few series that the cat's had very much been part of that story, and finally he feels like he's finally really coming to his own. I really feel like you're the star of certainly the last series and the current one.
Well, he's still evolving, isn't he? He's an evolving humanoid, and you first saw him 30 years ago. It only takes 7 years to learn to fly a jumbo jet. So what you can learn in 30 years is incredible. So he's evolved. He's not as puerile as he used to be. He's still as cutting and as selfish and all of that. But along with all the other characters, in fact, he's evolved just as much as the other characters, and because of that, he's been integrated more into the storyline. Because when he was first seen, most of his stuff was getting everything wrong because he didn't quite understand the human way. The first episode he says like, "Wait, hey, you monkeys eat off the floor?" So he was learning. He wouldn't say that line today. You see what I mean? Because he knows why now. So yeah, it's just evolving really, which is good.
And myself and Listy and Crichton are glad to support the star of the show as well as we can.
I'd just like to say that wasn't one of my quotes. I always say ensemble.
It's a four-hander, of course, but the question you're asking, not in the most subtle way, of course, is that the cat's character has had further development in these series after. Yeah, you're right. Sort of sometimes in the early shows.
Yeah, but that's how but him coming in and doing that, it's the old vaudeville thing of entrance exit. Instead of doing that, he comes in and goes but really you should hear in the background scene. It's a bit like Mel Blanc, all those those cartoons, Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. All of a sudden, Bugs Bunny would come on, doing the shuffle off the buffalo, out of nowhere. but you see, those characters always worked. Robert Gilham, rest his soul, died the other day. You're up against. He was up against people like Billy Crystal in soap. This massive show, cutting-edge show, and there he was. He had 5 lines a week, and he was the one that got his own series. Because he was like the cat. He just came in, boom, and leave. I like that one. The man of the house was. The doorbell went ding dong, and the man of the house went running to get it, and Benson trips him over. That's my job, sucker. Those lines, they're just, you just woof, get banked that and go. That's what the cat did. So but now it's much better because he can still get those cutthroat gags, but he's also involved somewhat uselessly in the conversation. But he does get some things right now.
Although he's a psychopath.
He is a psychopath.
Hi. Talking about the cat, you do that fantastic dance when you go in, and can you please do it for us?
What, in these? Oh man. Hey!
You can't refuse this one, Dan.
Oh dear, how did we used to do that stuff? So yeah, well, the whole thing about the cat coming in was that's James Brown. He does the ow. That's where the James Brown thing came in. But the funny thing about it was I wasn't actually copying James Brown. I was understudying an American actor singer in a show called Time at the time when I auditioned for Red Dwarf. And that was his warm-up behind the curtain. Before the curtain went up, he used to do this mad screaming, and he was sending up James Brown. So basically, it's me sending up a guy called Cleavon Derrick's Carroll. His twin brother was in Sliders. Remember that? His twin brother was the guy that I took that off of. Stole it. So basically, you can imagine the curtain would be there, Cliff Richard's over there waiting to come on. And he's behind the curtain, and he was playing a character called Captain Ebony. And so he was waiting for the curtain to go up, and that's what he would do while the orchestra was striking up. He'd be doing, ow, yeah, ow, yeah. So that's how I got it from.
So can I just say to you, Dan, you have passed the audition to be Mr. Motivator.
I can't wait. It's going to be fun.
Anybody else got any questions? Yeah, I'll run over.
Hi, I really like Government of the Apocalypse, my favourite episode of all time. But what would be your favourite episodes that you've done over the last 30 years?
Well, with these 2 series just coming out now, it's nearly impossible now, isn't it? And we haven't even seen them all. There's worse things to come, I can tell you. Well, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And are we going to see any more appearances from Dwayne Dibley at all?
Well, we just had this big conversation today, and Doug doesn't like to be seen as, regurgitating, old things that were really successful. Most people, would, wear the arse off of it, but Doug kind of likes to keep them, fresh there.
Keep it fresh, keeping new ideas coming through,
But I think there's definitely a Dwayne Ace. Something that must happen.
Should have been a spin-off years ago.
Yeah.
Dwayne and Ace.
Dwayne and Ace. Or Ace and Dwayne.
But to answer your question, I always sort of say, probably about 48 times this weekend, Dimension Jump and or Marooned. But Officer Rimmer in Series 11 obviously was great for me, for the Rimmer character. So I'd say that, and then Trojan in Series 10, and maybe Lemons was a great one as well.
Lemons, I like Lemons.
But it's 73 episodes, it's difficult to pinpoint,
There's so many moments.
So many good ones,
Well, I mean, I've enjoyed doing all of the, what I call secondary characters of my character, which, like Riviera Kid, the pastor, you know, the vicar, the drunk, you know, the transvestite, catty, walrusy looking thing with the long hair. All these characters, Doug creates these characters that are spin-offs of your original character. Now, most people, if you get a successful character in a show, that's usually once in a career that you get to play a character that people actually remember and come up and talk to you about, like they're talking about their friends. And in Red Dwarf, we've all had about 10 each, you know, that people constantly talk about, ask, oh, when are we going to see the Riviera, or when are we going to see Ace, or when are we going to see the hippie guy, you know, the clitoris guy. Sorry, if there's anyone that doesn't understand what that is.
I say let's put that on the back burner, David guy.
Yes. So all of those characters, you know, that's just it's an honour to play those guys.
Chris, I had a joyous moment the other day when I found that you had narrated the books.
Sorry, I'm
married
to the books.
Narrated.
Oh, narrated the books. Sorry.
Yes. But yes, I'm a couple of chapters in and loving your impressions of the various characters. So, are the impressions something that you spoke to the other cast about, or did you just kind of make it up and hope they weren't too offended?
These we've known each other over half our lives, so
exactly.
And they know that I came from an impressionist background, so I think they were pretty happy to, you know, they were sort of not unhappy that I should, you know, I think Craig did one of the books as well later on. So yeah, they knew I was a sort of voice person, so they were quite happy for that. But of course, they do get their own back in the studio when there's a chorus of them impersonating me doing David Goldman, and it goes a little bit like extraordinary.
See, we used to do that all the time. It used to crack the audience up no end. Same gag every week. Extraordinary. So see, I actually learned all my nearly impressions from Chris. I had one impression which I can't mention because it would lead the conversation down a dark alley. But that person, we can no longer do impressions of him, but that was my only one. I just did an Indian version of it. Well, it was true, wasn't it?
It was.
It was the only one that Chris actually ever laughed at. But yeah, no, we were used to him doing us anyway. He used to just mess about doing us at rehearsals and at lunch and stuff. So we kind of knew. He actually did it in the show anyway.
Well, I tell you, the annoying thing about the books, for me, one of the books was when in not the voices, but the sort of narrative, when the narrative was describing, it was Rimmer looking at himself in like Me Squared, that section of the book, and it was Rimmer describing Rimmer, so they were describing me. And they were sort of saying, so I sat behind him and noticed the bald patch developing on the back of his head. And I'm thinking, they're describing me.
Exactly.
Great.
Exactly.
And his slightly elongated nose, all that sort of stuff. You know, I think, do I really look like that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Doug and Rob were they were people watchers, and you know, they would sit and watch a rehearsal and go and write a scene, and you think, oh, didn't we just say that? Or, you know, didn't he just do that? So they're very good at taking pieces of our personalities and planting them in the stories.
Well, yeah, I mean, the line from me was, I forgot to say, can't we just be a little bit more professional?
Professional.
And literally that afternoon, I saw Rimmer said that in the script, in Starbuck, in about series 5 or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's part of the art of writing, pick it up and go with it, you know. Gives you another sort of level to it.
So we're going to have to make this our last question at the back here.
Maybe a bit of a weird one. It's for Chris. Don't know if you've seen Upstart Crow. If you have, is it a bit weird seeing somebody else play Ace Rimmer, but called Kit Barlow?
Do you know, I don't know how what status I fall from, but I've never seen it. So, but many people have mentioned it in the last few weeks, so I need to watch it, don't I? Upstart Crow. Okay, where can I find it? Okay, BBC iPlayer. All right,
It's on BBC. What is it? What is it?
Is it? Here we go.
Never. What? BBC? Who?
It's kind of like it's another series of Blackadder, only it's Shakespeare.
And where does Ace fit in?
Kit Marlowe is pretty much carbon copy Ace Rimmer, down to the head.
So you've got a show that looks like Blackadder. It's got Ace Rimmer in it. Don't want to watch it. Just sounds like a load of thieving people who ain't got no idea for their own characters. Yeah, no, I don't want to look at anything that looks like something and with someone in it that sounds like him. Yeah, I want originality.
I suppose giving it some positive spin, in a sense, is flattering.
Flattery.
You know, for
Is he as good as Chris? That's all I want to know. Sorry?
Could anyone be?
Then.